Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining me once again. Today, we are sharing at the beginning of our broadcast what I call viral acts of kindness. And there are many, and we've had a number of them come in since we last spoke. I want to share some of them with you. You can post them on the comments section of this video or any of the other Daily Dose videos. So, Susan wrote in about a lady policeman who was patrolling, and at the backside of a nursing home, she saw an older woman poking around a window. And what happened was this woman's husband had been confined recently to the nursing home, and she was not allowed to visit him, so they were trying to make some contact with her. So the policewoman had tears, and she hugged the lady, and she told the story. And a local man in the community had compassion. And so he went to Walmart and Best Buy and asked them to each donate a tablet, like an iPad, so that the two could communicate with each other, even though they weren't allowed to visit in person. How sweet was that? And then I heard that the American Automobile Association, if you're not in the States, it's the organization that provides roadside assistance to cars that are broken down. So they have announced that they are now providing free assistance to first responders and healthcare workers free of charge. How nice is that? And then the other day, I was hired by an Indian investment company called ABS LMF that has international holdings, and they have like 1,200 agents who advise people on their finances and portfolios all over the world. And they hired me to give a talk to their agents on upgrading attitude and inspirational times for a time when they're quite stressed over their diminishing holdings. And I gave them a spiritual lecture, and they really, really, really appreciated it. There were some wonderful comments. And I just had to compliment this company on supporting their agents morally and spiritually during a time of crisis. They could have been worried about their bottom line, but they brought me in to help their people. So I was happy to do it, and they were happy to receive it. So the point here is that each of us can help in our own way. You can be creative about your own way of helping, and there's never a shortage of opportunities to help. So thank God for all the helpers, which is all of us. So something is happening on the planet that has never happened before in our lifetimes or recent centuries. We're experiencing what is called, some people are calling, a planetary Sabbath. And because people are being asked to stay home due to the virus, there are less cars on the road, there's less pollution, there's less airplanes flying. And so the Earth, for the first time in a long time, is having a chance to breathe. My God. What a blessing this is. And you've probably seen on TV or YouTube, there's satellite photos of China before the crisis, and there are these large black and red blobs of pollution over the major cities. And then there's a similar satellite photo of the same area after the crisis, and it's clear, relatively clear. It's just mind-blowing to see the effect this is having. I'm not saying the virus is good. I'm saying that, there are some signs that are coming out of it that can help us. And there are videos of Beijing before the crisis with smoke everywhere. It's just like a gray city, terribly polluted. And then the next video after the crisis shows blue skies everywhere. And people are saying there that they're hearing birds for the first time. And a friend of mine in Paris said that she was smelling the flowers for the first time in the first spring in a long time. So things are happening that are odd, but they're also educational. I saw a video of national parks in America where the animals are coming forth once again, like Yosemite. And there's these bears and mountain lions and so forth that are reclaiming their habitat. Now, I'm not saying they should reclaim it entirely forever, but isn't it nice that these animals that we've chased back for 100 years now are having a chance to enjoy their environment? And there was a photo from Kruger National Park in South Africa where a couple of dozen lions were just lying, sunning themselves on the road that usually has cars on it, but there are not now. And they were just enjoying their life for the first time in a while. So, this is a chance for us to have a vision of how beautiful and wonderful and harmonious the planet could be if we would just stop choking it. Now, I saw some more videos, actually photos, of drone photos of Hawaii beaches, which are clear now because people are not allowed on them. And they look like pristine, tropical, untouched virgin beaches, the kind that you see in Tahiti or these remote South Pacific islands. And you can actually see the blue aqua, the azure color of the water, and the reefs are coming forth. Now, when I moved to Hawaii 30 some odd years ago, the reefs were colorful. I would go snorkeling and they'd be bright red and orange and purple, and just a magnificent sight for the eyes. And more lately, they're gray and they're dead because people go in the water with sunscreen and makeup and they urinate in the water, and all these things are killing the reef. So for a moment, for a blessed window in eternity, we're getting to see what the earth was like before we messed it up and how it can be like if we clean it up. To me, it's a visionary moment. Now, illness, whether it's personal or planetary, is not a punishment from God. It's a wake-up call. It's saying you've somehow strayed from well-being, which is your natural state, and you substitute a reality that seems to be working for you, but is not working really. And so homeostasis is a principle by which nature is always attempting to balance itself. The universe works in perfect balance and harmony. When it gets out of balance, it does things to balance itself. So it could be that this particular crisis is a call for us to remember our balance. Now, many of the Western religions, like Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, they call for a day of rest, the Sabbath. And it's a pretty good idea. I think it's one of the better ideas of religion, that to say, okay, you're busy all week long, and you're working so hard, and you're running around doing all kinds of stuff. How about just take one day and get quiet, get still, be home with your family. In Judaism, you're not allowed to work, you're not allowed to use electricity, you're not allowed to go places beyond walking. And it's a pretty cool idea that you get to really be with yourself. Blaise Pascal said all of humanity's problems stem from man's inability to sit quietly in a room alone. It says he implied that because we're afraid to be with ourselves, we invent endless, mostly meaningless activities that distract us from our fear of being with ourselves. When if we actually had the courage to be with ourselves, we would find such beauty and immense reward and wholeness that we would just give up our craziness. Pascal said that a long time ago. So we're human beings, not human doings. And a Sabbath, whether it's a personal once-a-week Sabbath or a planetary Sabbath, is a call for us to return to our beingness and withdraw our investment in doingness. Now, I work in Japan quite a bit. I love the Japanese people. And sadly, many Japanese people suffer from what they call karoshi, which literally means working yourself to death. And they work so hard, they're so stressed, they don't know how to stop, a lot of them. And so many people die at young ages of stress or from suicide, very sadly. And there's support groups for families of karoshi people. And so it's just a sign that we're not supposed to be stressing ourselves so much, that there must be an easier way. And so when we have a month or so at home, not going to work, not running around, many of us are discovering that there is an easier way, that we can be with our families, we can do jigsaw puzzles, we can create new projects, we can meditate and pray and do yoga, we can help each other from afar, we can buy iPads for people who can't visit each other. And that surely brings far more soul reward than just endless running around and accumulating possessions and finding more ways to throw away money. It's the way it is. So let's ask the question, how can you take better care of yourself? That would be a good result of this whole issue, wouldn't it? If you and I learn to slow down and bless ourselves and be kinder to ourselves. How can you be kinder to yourself? I mean, could you get some massages? Could you take more naps? Could you read more? Could you have more fun? What would you be doing if you gave yourself a Sabbath? It doesn't have to be a religious Sabbath. A Sabbath means a resting time. Even in ancient Israel, they would have every 7 years, though, if you were a farmer, you would leave the earth to rest. You would not plant during the 7th year so the earth could renew itself from all the depletion from the crops. Even, thousands of years ago, they understood that the earth needs a rest. And, we're getting a 2x4 method, 2x4 between the eyes message now that the earth needs a rest, and so do we. And all of life is based on breathing in and breathing out. Even the word inspiration means to breathe in. When we exhale, we breathe out. So, Ecclesiastes says there's a time for everything. And so, at the moment, we have a time for breathing in, personally and on a planetary basis. This is a time for the earth to heal. How? If you're listening to these broadcasts, you obviously are attuned with well-being and some kind of higher perspective. And obviously you're saddened as I am at what we've been doing to this planet. I mean, it's unbelievable. And so at this moment, we are getting a chance to see what would happen if we upgraded our attitude and behavior. I mean, my prayer is that some of this will sink in and stick with us, such that we carry over our appreciation for our lives even after this crisis disappears. And it's starting to lighten up now. But if it lightens up and we don't change, it hasn't really served in any way. We want to see a positive change as a result of this. Now, if you're into yoga or meditation or anything like that, you know about the chakra system. And there's 7 chakras, going from the base of the spine up top, and each one of them represents a different aspect of life and energy. And the first 6 chakras are mostly about breathing in and doing stuff in the world, power and love and survival, that kind of stuff. Well, the 7th chakra is considered the chakra of oneness, the chakra of wholeness, the chakra of rest. And so even in the Hindu system, there's a representation that when we rise to the highest consciousness, we come into a state of rest. And so what we want to do now is use this resting time for ourselves and the planet to drop into a place of quietude that is healing. The earth is a living, breathing being just like we are. We are connected to everything that happens on the earth. We're connected to the water and the earth and the air. And you cannot separate yourself from the planet. If there's any message of this whole crisis, it's that we're all in this together. And as the earth breathes, we breathe. So let us do our best to breathe and rest by taking better care of ourselves. It's not selfish to take care of yourself. Your kindness to yourself is kindness to humanity. And kindness to humanity is kindness to the planet. And kindness to the planet is healing ourselves. So let us savor this vision. Go to YouTube or your web browser and look at those pictures of Earth without pollution, of Earth without being choked, and invite your subconscious to absorb those pictures to the point that it becomes a real experience to you. And that, as that experience is real, you contribute to group mind, to mass thought, to race thought, such that you contribute to that reality for all of us. And when enough of us start holding that vision and acting on it, it does become a reality. Victor Hugo said, "Nothing is so powerful as an idea whose time has come." And Margaret Mead later said, "Never underestimate the power of a small group of people to change the world." This is the month that the transition is happening, and you and I are the ones who are facilitating it. Thank you, and God bless you.